welcome to CNN Today, the most trusted journalism in your language. I'm Bianna Goladriga. We tell you today's major global stories in about 5 minutes. It's Wednesday, July 17th. Here is your CNN. Former President Donald Trump appeared with a bandage on his ear at the Republican National Convention. He also named Ohio Senator J.D. Vance as his vice presidential nominee. Phil Mattingly has the details.
Well, for delegates here on the floor, the first day of the Republican National Convention was news-wise, by far the most important issue was J.D. Vance, the senator from Ohio, is now the vice presidential running mate for former President Donald Trump. That was the big breaking news of the day. The big breaking moment of the night, without any question at all, was the appearance of the former president for the first time in front of a major crowd since the assassination attempt, the attempt on his life that left him with a bandage over his ear, joining several top allies and family members in the VIP box to watch several of the speeches tonight. Also getting a roaring welcome from a Republican Party that I don't think without any question was unified going into this first night of the Republican convention, even before the assassination attempt. Now, there's no question about it. They believe that Donald Trump is not only going to be the next president of the United States, they also believe that he is the party. And there's no question about that. You saw it every single moment of that first day. You're certainly going to be seeing it in the days ahead. Phil Mattingly, CNN, from the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee.
Senator Vance opposed a Ukraine aid bill earlier this year, supporting former President Trump's criticism of providing more aid. Nick Robertson has Europe's reaction to Trump's vice presidential pick.
Donald Trump's pick here telegraphs perhaps the worst of scenarios that they might have imagined from a new Republican president at the beginning of next year, because he reinforces those isolationist views and would not appear to want to hold Donald Trump back. You know, Europeans heard J.D. Vance when he was among them at the Munich Security Conference earlier this year, February this year. And he was speaking very clearly. And he said, look, I'm telling you, Europeans here, because we're friends, not because, I'm against you. But I'm saying this very, very clearly. We're not intending to pull out of NATO per se. We're not intending to abandon friends in Europe, but we are saying very clearly that we're going to pivot away towards Asia. And I think in context of everything else that he's had to say about Ukraine and the views on Russia, that this is looking much more like a scenario that is a worry for NATO and a worry for European leaders who really got all their support behind Ukraine and can see that dropping away. Vance has spoken about, the amount of arms and ammunition that's needed to be manufactured to compete with Russia and Ukraine. Europe and the US just isn't there. He's talked about throwing money into Ukraine, implying that it's essentially lost money. So that's the warning. When President Zelensky spoke about a Donald Trump presidency yesterday, he said, obviously, this is all up to the people of the United States to choose. He said it's something that we're not afraid of.
I think that if Mr. Donald Trump becomes president, we will work. I'm not afraid of this. Ukraine, we are in a war, we are emotional, and when there is uncertainty, and indeed the Republican Party is different, but I want to tell you that the majority of the Republican Party supports Ukraine and the people of Ukraine.
So the view from Europe is that Russia remains a very significant challenge, and the view it would seem from J.D. Vance is maybe that's something that Europe needs to focus on for themselves as the United States focuses more towards China.
Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell signaling that an interest rate cut is coming. He says the central bank will not wait until inflation hits 2% to reduce interest rates. Many economists expect the first cut to happen in September. Maribel Aber reports.
The Fed doesn't plan to wait until inflation drops to 2% before cutting interest rates. Instead, policymakers are looking for greater confidence that pricing pressures will eventually decline to that level. This is according to Fed Chair Jerome Powell. The Fed's target has been to slow inflation to a 2% annual rate. It's now around 3%. At an event yesterday, Powell said the Fed can move sooner to cut rates as it sees more good inflation data. And he added that lately there's been more positive data showing price pressures easing.
Thank you for watching CNN Today, the most trusted journalism in your language. We will see you tomorrow.